we're going to be implementing search functionality now. What's the goal? The goal is to have a text box where the user can enter the title of a book that they've read or whatever they want to look up. They click search, and we're going to show them the books that kind of match that title. And then they can click on one of those books and get to the book page that we have built, right? Now, the challenge is in mapping a loosely formed search string to a book ID. And that's where we're going to leverage the help of the search API that the Open Library API provides. So I'm going to go to the Open Library API here, and let's look for the search API. I'm going to go to Developer Center, Web API, and here is the search API. So this is a fairly simple API. It's basically this URL, search.json, ? query, Q equals, and then basically whatever your query, all right? So this is going to return, 489 records. That is a lot. Okay, so docs has each work, and this is a key, right? So words/key. We already have the key mapped to it. So what we're going to do is we're going to show them a bunch of titles. I'm not going to show 400 and whatever records, right? I'm just going to show like 10. And for each result, I have the key, and the result is going to show up on the page, and it is going to be mapped to, it's going to be a hyperlink. It's going to be mapped to /books/ the ID, so that when they click on one of the search results, they're going to see the page that we have created. All right. So that's the goal. Let's actually build it. All right. So we have the URL over here. Let's see, what do I need? First of all, I need like a controller where people can type in something and then they click submit search, and then it's going to do a search and return back like a bunch of books. I need some kind of a structure for the response as well. Each book is going to be an object. I need to figure out what is going to be the type for that thing. Let me start with the controller, all right? So I'm going to create a new Java class inside a new Java package. So over here, I'm going to have a package called search. I'm going to make this search controller. Okay. This is also going to be a controller, and this is going to have a method called, say, public string get search results. Okay. And there's going to be one parameter for this thing, which is the search query, right? So I'm going to have the add request param string query. Okay, it's going to be a search query. And it's going to return search, which is basically, like you should know now, this is going to be the template, right? So I need to have a search.html in my templates directory. So I'm going to go here, templates, new file, search.html. Okay. I'm going to copy paste this thing as is, search.html, paste this here, and then I'm going to get rid of this, everything inside the content div. I forgot to mention, I have this nav bar here as well, which I had got. If I uncomment this, you will know what this is doing. It's basically just one menu item in the front, at the top of the page, which was a nav bar. It's called Better Reads. Nothing fancy here. I'm just going to show you what that looks like. I just want to add that there. See this? Just this thing. It just says Better Reads, and then you click on it, it's going to take you back to the home page for login, which doesn't make any sense, but hey, that's what it is right now. All right. So search is going to take you to the search.html page, which also has the nav bar, but nothing else. The section is empty. I'm going to get rid of this empty section. Now I have to code the search controller. Now, what do I do with the search controller? I need to make a call. When a query is issued, I need to make a call to this URL, and then I'm going to follow it with question mark, Q equals, and then the query, right? How do I do this? I need to make a REST API call from my search controller to this guy, okay? The standard recommended way of making a REST API call from a Spring Boot application as of today, as of me recording this video, very likely as of you watching it. I mean, reasonably, if this video is like 10 years old, stop watching right now. The best way to make a REST API call is using Webclient. Okay, Webclient is a utility class provided by Spring Boot, which allows you to make these REST API calls. Like the name says, it's a web client, right? It's a client which allows you to make web requests. So you can create a web client, but you don't want to be doing that every time, right? You don't want to do for every request. So what I'm going to do is maybe create a constructor here and initialize the web client, and then the get search results is going to kind of use that web client. That will work. So what I'm going to do here is create a constructor, public search controller. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to hold on to this web client. Okay, so I'm going to say private final web client. Let's see if we have the import for this thing. Oh, we don't have web client. All right, so let me go add this to pom.xml. So this one is Spring Boot starter web flux. All right, so this is the dependency that you need to add. All right, right here. Oops. Spring Boot starter web flux. So we're going to bring in the web client, which uses reactive programming paradigms in order to get you a REST API call done in the most optimal way. You don't want to be hanging around waiting for a thread, holding a thread until you get a response back. Reactive makes it a little bit better. So web client is what you would recommend. You can, of course, use a web client and just block. I don't want to use reactive. I'm comfortable with step-by-step execution of my Java code. So you can just block, which is fine. But still, I recommend using web client because that's like the latest and the greatest way of making REST API calls from a Spring Boot application. All right, so what I'm going to do here is initialize this web client. This dot web client is, I'm going to use the Webclient Builder. I need the Webclient Builder. So I'm going to say, hey, Spring, get me the Webclient Builder automatically injected to me. Okay, so this is the builder pattern. We're basically saying, hey, I need the Webclient Builder so that I can build the web client just once and then keep it in my controller and then use it every time somebody makes the search request, right? Just fine. So I'm going to say Webclient Builder, build me a web client, right? So I'm going to do Webclient Builder dot base URL, which is going to be, what's the base URL? It's this guy. Okay, and then I'm going to do a dot build. So I have basically built a web client by doing this. I'm saying this web client knows how to make calls to this base URL. That's all I need now, right? I don't want this web client to make any other calls. This is a search controller after all. So I have initialized this to make this one call. All right, now what do I need to do? When somebody makes a search request, I need to append it to this base URL of the web client, and then can send it across, right? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say this dot web client dot get. So dot get is going to give me what's it going to give me? Gives me this requested as URI spec, right? So you need to do this to start building an HTTP GET request. Again, build a pattern here, right? You're going to build an HTTP request and then you're going to send it. So when you're building it, you're going to add all the parameters you need. And then once you're ready with that request, you're going to say, hey, go send it, right? So the dot get is what starts your creation of an HTTP request. This is different from building the web client itself, which you did over here, right? You built the web client. Here you're building a single request for the web client that's already built. All right, so I'm going to do a dot get, and then I'm going to fix the URI. So what I have is just the base URI, I'm going to have to provide the actual URI now. All right. So what's the actual URI after the base? So this is question mark q equals. Okay. Question mark q equals. And then this one, I think, takes the parameter. So I'm going to just put the query here. So this URI takes parameters. You can plug this thing in by passing the parameter here, right? So I'm basically saying, get this query and then add this question mark q equals query to the URI. Again, nothing that you cannot figure out based on the documentation, but looking at the documentation. All right. So from here, I'm going to do a dot retrieve. Okay, retrieve is what is going to actually make that call. All right. Once I make the call, I'm going to do a dot body to mono, which is basically like I want to make this a mono. All right. I can block this, so I'm just going to do a block. Body to mono. I need a reference element, right? So what I'm doing here is I am getting a mono object, which is basically a reactive, kind of like a future object, which is basically saying I know that this object is going to resolve to a single result object in the future, which is what a mono is. Okay. So I'm going to get the mono, and what I'm going to have here is a mono object, mono foo equals, right? So I'm going to have a mono object here. But in order to really tell what the type of that result is, I need to give it a type. Okay. I can make this a string and it's going to give me the whole string. All right. So let's say I do a string dot class. Okay. So this is going to be a mono of string. And I'm going to import mono from the Reactor core. Okay. So what I have here, what I've done here is I'm basically saying, hey, prepare this request. Okay. Retrieve it and get the body to a mono. Okay. A mono is basically, type string here because I've passed string, and this is of type string. Now I can get this string by doing foo dot block. Okay. So this is going to give me the string itself, right? If I send it to a local variable, notice here, I get the result. So I'm getting all the search results, like the whole response payload, I'm getting it as a string here, but this is not useful. What we want is like an array of type objects. So what I'm going to do is create a class here. And then I'm going to say, hey, whatever response I'm going to get back is of this type. So go ahead and create these object instances for me so that I can use it in my code. All right. So it's because it's hard to parse this string. So if you look at this individual values that you're getting over here, what you have is, okay, so you have docs, and a docs is basically an array. And then an array consists of this key, text, title. Okay, so it has all this stuff. So what I'm going to do is create this class, which is going to mirror this structure that I have over here, right? So basically this whole thing is going to be this class. So I think I'll need two classes, one class which is going to mirror the structure of this whole response, and then another class which is going to mirror the structure of each individual element, right? Each element here in this array is going to be the other class, so that I can say this property, the docs property of that, the whole thing is going to be an array of that second class. That doesn't make sense. Let me explain. I'm going to create a new Java class here and search. I'm going to call this search result. All right. There's going to be a class. And then this is going to, actually, I don't need to annotate this with anything. All right. So I'm going to do, let's see, what do we have? Num found is an int. Okay. So I'm going to say int num found. Okay. So what this is going to do is it's going to say like when you're converting it, I can say, okay, this is of type search result, and it's going to give me that. So right now, even without doing anything else here, right? So let's say I do get as insiders for this thing. Source action, get as insiders. Okay. Right now, I can do search result.class. Okay. I can do this. And now what is going to happen is, this is going to take care of it, right? So this is going to give me search result. So what it's going to do is this web client infrastructure is going to be like, okay, I'm going to convert this into a search result instance, and then it's going to detect that the search result class contains the same member variable as the JSON property in this return. So it is going to do that conversion. It's going to create a new search result instance, and it's going to populate num found with 489 if I search for this particular string, the Lord of the Rings, right? So this is the reason why this is so powerful, right? I don't have to get the string and then do the casting myself. Once I define the structure exactly like the search result returns me, or whatever API returns me, the framework is going to do the conversion for me, which is handy. So of course, I need to put all the other values here. It's not just the number of results. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically copy this over, right? So I have start. I'm going to say int start. I don't know if I need start. All I really need is docs. Okay, this guy. I need an array of this thing. So I'm going to create one more class called search result book.java. Right? Now here, I'm going to create these properties, right? Because these are the ones that I'm getting from the results. So if I put those properties here, now here I can say the whole search result is going to contain this docs property. All right. So I'm going to say search result book. So this is going to be a private. This is a list of search result book. And then this is called docs. Okay. Fair enough. So now I have this property and I have this map to this thing. This doesn't have anything now. So let me actually put those values here. Now, what does each doc contain? It should be simple. I have maybe split screen here. So I have the private string key. Type really doesn't matter. Text, not into that. Title is important. I'm going to say private title. What else? Description, right? Description a part of the search? You see, description doesn't seem to be in the search. So I'm going to skip this. This is not going to be there. All right. What else do we have? Oh, we have author and name. Interesting. We have author underscore name. So I'm going to put the same value like this. So you got to be careful about the casing, okay? So private, this seems to be an array of string. You see here, 0, it's an array of string. So I'm going to make this, a list of string. This is fine. It can be a list or an array, author underscore name. Okay, so I get this over here. And then I'm thinking about what is useful to show in a search result. We can show the title. We can show the author name. We need the cover. We surely need the cover. It'll be nice to show the cover image so that people can immediately see this. I hope there is a cover image here. I think this is it. Cover underscore I. Let's see if this is the one. All right. Get and paste this over here. Yeah, that's the one. Cover underscore I. Okay, very well. That's what this variable is going to be. Private string cover underscore I. Okay, let's see what else we can do. This seems interesting, so I'm just randomly picking things up. They may not be available in all the search results. Oh well, if it's not there, it's just going to. This is going to be. I'm hoping this is this is not pretty. This is private. Okay. So I have these member variables. And now I'm going to generate getters and setters for all of them. All right. So I have this stuff. And now I can say, I can go back over here. And since I've said, okay, this is going to be a list of docs. Now I can pass that in and get that value. All right. So I'm going to do a source action. Again, getters and setters for all of them. And I'm going to go back to my search controller. Now, what I'm going to get back is a search result instance. Okay, so it is already done and ready, and I can use it. Okay, so I'm going to call this results mono. Okay, and this is going to be results mono.block. So I'm saying block the execution so that I can get the result over here. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to, well, I need the model, of course. Now I have, do I have the search.html? I thought I created that. There should be, there is search.html. Okay, great. And it has Thymeleaf syntax enabled. Okay, so now I need to put this in the model. Model, and then import model. And now I'm going to do model.add attribute. Search result is going to be the result. And it is up to the HTML to kind of parse this thing and show the result. So here I'm going to copy from the book.html. I'm going to copy one of these tags and I'm just going to print the count, the result count, so that I know that it is being rendered. Okay, I'm going to put this here. Display one is I'm going to make it a big title. And this is going to be search results dot, what is it? Num found, right? I'm going to print num found and then number. Again, this doesn't matter. All right. So ideally, what should happen is when I'm doing a search result, I'm doing a query for this, right? Let's put a search controller. I have to map it to an API. So let's do that. I'm going to map it to Git mapping for now. I'm going to say value equals search. Okay. So when I call search and then I pass in the query as a request param, then it should basically execute this query, convert it into this list of objects, and then set it over here. Let's see, search result. This has to be private. That was why it was not setting showing up as in autocomplete. So that's how I noticed that I didn't miss the private here. Okay, now we should be good to go to run this. And let's see if this works and troubleshoot any errors. I'm going to try and run this. I'm going to make a call to that API. All right, so I'm going to do, of course, I'm logged in. So this should be fine. Not necessary to logged in anyway. Search, question mark. What did I call it? Query, I think, equals test. Okay, bunch of errors. Data buffer limit exception. Exceeded limit on max bytes. Yeah, so this is going to be a problem if you have a lot of data. It's crazy that this is sending so many records. It's crazy that the search result is showing, man, how many do we have here? Showing 100 records, okay? What we need to do is provide like a limit in terms of, there is a default limit, which is what you saw here, which is this error, right? This is the limit on max bytes to buffer, right? It's basically taking all that buffer and then converting it into JSON, objects. And there is a upper limit set and it's exceeding it. So, well, I don't have a choice. I have to exceed the limit. Okay. So, which is what I'm going to do over here in the Webclient Builder. I'm going to apply strategy, right? I'm going to say exchange strategy. Again, this is Googleable. Look that up in Google and say, okay, I'm getting this error. What do? I did that myself. And that's how I know this, right? So I'm going to get that code and I'm going to paste it over here so that this works. Basically, what I'm doing is I'm extending the limit to the amount of buffer that is allowed to be held in the Webclient request and response exchange, right? Because it has to get that whole response and convert that whole thing into objects. So there is an upper limit set, and this thing is clearly exceeding the upper limit. So we need to bump up the upper limit, all right? So I'm going to copy paste that code over here. Okay, so this is what it looks like. Okay, so there is this thing called Exchange Strategies Builder, as with a lot of the Spring Boot API, it's supposed to be nice and elegant and using the builder pattern, but it seems unnecessarily verbose. But hey, it is what it is. So I have to set the exchange strategy and say, hey, there is this configurer where I'm setting the max memory size to be this much, right? Pumped it up. And now use this as the web client, right? So this web client that I've created over here is going to have more, memory allocated so it doesn't run out of that space. All right, let's try this again. There you go. It has got the results. These are the number of books which match the query test. Okay. Now, what I need to do is show the results to the user, right? So what I have here is, let's go to the search controller. What I have here is the result itself, but I ideally need just the result.docs, right? Because that's what has all the actual results. So what I'm going to do is, rather than send the whole thing, what I'm going to do is optimize it a little bit. Okay. So I'm going to let this be the search result. I get the result here. And now I'm going to do result.get docs. And then I'm not going to send all 100. I'm going to stream. And then I'm going to limit to, let's say, 10, right? I just want 10 books to be displayed in the result. Okay. And then I'm going to do dot collect collectors dot to list. Okay. So this is going to be, indentation is off here. Let me fix that. Okay. There you go. So this is going to be the 10 books, the top 10 books as identified by the API. Okay. That's enough for me. Books. And I'm going to set that as the result. Okay. And in my HTML, search.html, this is not going to be this anymore. Let's see if the length works. Or size. This is the problem of doing Java and JavaScript at the same time. I tend to get mixed up between the two. All right. So now this time when I execute it, it's going to make the call, get me 10, and it's going to show me the result. Okay. I have 10 search results. Okay. So now what's left to do is to get each element and then create like I'm thinking of showing this in a card format as well, so that it's kind of like nice and clean and it looks good. Let's see. I am probably going to use the other card in Bootstrap to show this time, right? Which is going to be something like this, right? I like this. Let's do this. I'm going to copy this and then go to my search.html. And over here, I don't need the search results anymore. This is one card, okay? One card. And I'm going to loop this as many times as there are books in my result, right? The image is going to be like this, which is fine. The card title is going to be th:\text equals, what do I have here? $. The book dot title, all right? So it's going to be the title. I'm going to have to loop this, of course. So what I'm going to do is do a th:\each, right? So I'm going to put a div and then class equals card group. Okay, a card group is basically a group of cards according to Bootstrap. So I'm going to create a card group here. Which div is this closing? It's closing this guy. It's not indented properly. All right, so close this div here and then push this here. All right, so the card group needs to do th:\each of the result in the search results. All right, so this is going to be equals result in $ search results. And this is, I'm going to call this result. It's not book, it's a result that's being displayed here, not the book model. So it makes it a little less arbitrary. And now this div closes over here. But let's see if this works. I just have the title and nothing else, but we'll see if this works. Well, it didn't. Why? I have th:\each of result in search results, which is what I have. Did I call it search results? I call it search result. Okay, I'm going to make it search results because it is plural after all. Wait for this to reload. Okay, here we go. So it is printing those cards. All right. It's basically taken up the whole width of the page, but that's fine. It's getting the name and displaying it over here. Let's see. Let's search for, I don't know, Java. Let's get some Java books here. Okay. These don't seem like Java books, but there must be some Java in there somewhere, which is why it's showing up. Okay, this one's got something. Okay. So maybe JavaScript is a better query because it's not going to have a lot of, okay, there seems to be a lot of books called JavaScript. Interesting. Let's look for an actual book. And okay, looks like it's working. There seems to be a lot of duplicates, but it seems to be working fairly well, right? We'll deal with duplicates later, if at all we do it. So now we have the structure here. Now what I need to do is get the other stuff. Okay, so there's not going to be a description, so I can remove this. There needs to be like a go somewhere. It has to go somewhere. There needs to be a link for each of these cards. And when they click on it, it needs to go to the book page. So we need to get the ID here. All right, so let's, I wonder if I should create the ID in the search result book so that it'll just be there so that I can use it, all right? Or I can use the key itself and modify it. Don't have to hold on to the whole key, right? Okay, so after I limit it, I'm going to do a map of result to, what do I need to do? I need to do some processing, okay? Let me call this book result. Okay, what do I do? Book result dot get key dot replace. What do I need to replace? The slash works slash with an empty string, right? That's going to be the ID, right? If you look at the result, the search results, each one of these has a key as slash works slash something, all right? Fine. I'm going to replace that with the ID. Okay. And then I'm going to set it. Okay. Book result dot set key of this. Now I have replaced the key in book result with this thing. I guess the other thing I will need is the image, because what I have here in each book result is the cover ID alone, right? So the cover underscore I, where is this? It just has the ID. So I can replace it with the actual image. I'm just going to copy this here. Of course, you can feel free to refactor this and put this in some other place so that it remains constant across multiple classes. I'm lazy now. I'm just going to put this like this. All right. So here I'm going to do string cover ID equals book result dot get cover underscore I. Now if this is not empty, I'm going to use string utils. String utils. You should know that string utils comes with Spring Framework. You see this? There is a Spring Framework. If you want to use Spring utils in a Spring Boot application, you don't have to add another dependency to your pom.xml. All right. So string utils dot has a text of cover ID. If there is cover ID, I'm going to replace cover as this guy, cover image root plus cover ID plus, what do I have here? Large I'm probably going to have medium here because this is search and it's not this large display of image. So I'm probably going to put medium here. All right. So this is going to be, wait, I had cover ID. I'm going to put this as cover ID as well. Cover ID is this. All right. Else cover ID equals this guy. What did I have here? Images, right? I had something in images. Yeah, images / no-image.png / images / no-image.png. Hopefully this will let us test this as well because we didn't test the no image use case. All right, so I'm going to do book results dot set. I'm just going to set to cover _ I. I know this is not a nice name, but that'll do for now. And now here in my search.html, I'm going to make this src equals $ curly. And inside this is going to be results dot cover _ I. Okay. Let's see. This is any good. All right. So this one didn't work. Problem, the method map is not applicable for arguments no result. But did I not return it? Well, I did not return it. All right. So return book result. Okay. So when you're mapping something, you need to make sure you return the new thing that you're mapping it to, right? Because when with map, you're taking an element, processing it, and then returning it back. I've forgotten to return it. Okay, so I have this guy here. Let's see if it shows this thing up. All right. Still doesn't seem to be working. I'm going to restart the server and see if that works. Okay, seems to be working. The images are so big. Well, no image available does seem to work. Okay, but these images are ridiculous. Okay, because it's taking up the whole space, right? The image is taking up the whole space. Yeah, we don't want that. So probably what I'm going to do is, stick a grid or a flex box here so that you have like 3 of these per row. Right now it's like 1 per row, which is crazy. I'm going to have 3 of these per row and kind of compact it. Here's the camera. I'm going to compact it so that it doesn't take up the whole space. So I'm probably going to have like first of all, this needs to go over here, right? We don't want the card group to repeat each time. I want the card to repeat each time. Okay. So what happens now? Okay. So it's done this. So now what's happening is like everything is in one row because it's in div. Fair enough. So I'm just going to just add a style here. Don't hate me. You ideally shouldn't be doing this. You should maybe have like a CSS file somewhere. But I'm just going to make this. Not actually, I need to style this thing. The card itself will need to be, in addition to width is 18. What happens if I remove this width? Okay, I think it fits it's fitting the size of the window. Okay, fair enough. I'm going to make this flex. Let's say 30%. All right. Okay, this is a little better. I don't know. Still a little too big. I'm going to make this 20%. I promised I'm not going to mess around with CSS, and here I am messing around with CSS. My apologies. I'm just going to add a little bit of width over here, like the spacing between the two by margin, and then I'm done. Margin, I don't know, 20 pixels. Let's see. Okay. Margin, maybe 30 pixels, and then I'm going to reduce this in the last change, I promise. Okay, this will do. I'm happy with this. All right. So these are the search results. I'm getting all of these individual search result book in one of these tiles, which is perfect. Now, what I need to do is have it go somewhere, right? When I click on it, it has to go to the book page, right? So I need to get the book ID. Well, I have the book ID, so I need to just make this a link, okay? So so this is an href, which is fine. I'm going to have to be this has to be th:/href because this is a Thymeleaf syntax, right? Thymeleaf links are crazy. They're tricky. So I'm going to have to look this up. I don't remember how to do this. Did I not have the Thymeleaf thing open? Right. Documentation and read online. The link in Thymeleaf uses this weird combination of @ and okay, here it is. So this is @ and curly, but within that, I'm going to need the dollar curly because a part of that is dynamic. Okay. So I'm just going to copy this thing here. It's a little crazy. So you're going to have to, you need the help of the search engine. All right. So it's going to be like this @ and this thing, but there's going to be, since this is going to be dynamic. Oh, what am I doing here? This needs to go. Okay. Now, since this is going to be dynamic, I need to, like any dynamic portion, I need to put this inside this. All right. So it's crazy like that. So this is going to be result dot key is going to give me that thing here, but then there needs to be the /books/ over here, and then the result dot key. I think this should do. So basically what I'm saying is this is first of all, this is a link. Okay. So using this @href. So this, whatever you put here is a link, but then what I'm putting there is an addition of the /book/ string and the result dot key that I'm getting from the result. All right. Because I'm going to have this be view book. Okay. Very good. Now let's try this one more time. All right. It says view book. And when I click on it, you see here at the bottom, it has that thing. And when I click on it, it's going to go over there. Right. So of course it doesn't have this because we don't have that, that book saved. We just did like, I don't know, 15 books, 50 books. So I'm going to copy this guy, right? I'll copy this as is, and then search for it here. Query equals, and then provide this. And it should, we know that this book exists in our system, right? When I click on view book, it is going to take us there. Yay. Okay. So we can have the search thing there. We need a text box though. We need a text box which allows us to type it out and then do a search. I'm kind of thinking it'll be nice to have that text box everywhere in the app, right? Kind of at the top, have the text box and then a search button so that anywhere they are in the app, they can just type that search, type that query and then click search and then they get the search results. All right. So let's actually do that. I'm going to create since I'm going to be using everywhere, I'm not going to put that in every HTML. Let me actually create a component for this, right? In Thymeleaf, you can create components. Okay. I'm going to create a new folder called components. And all of you front-end developer folks from React or Angular, whatever, well, guess what? We back-end developers use front-end components too, right? Thymeleaf has components. Yeah, I know I'm a front-end developer too, but I switch sites depending on the situation. All right, so I'm going to create a new file. I'm going to call this book search.html. And this is where I'm going to save my Thymeleaf component. All right. The way to create a component is by using the th:\fragment. I'm going to copy this part. Well, this didn't have the Thymeleaf. I'm going to have an HTML sample here. I just realized I didn't have the Thymeleaf XML namespace. This is a good thing to have. So I'm going to put this for all of my HTML. Okay. It's makes things easy when somebody is using editor, an IDE, right? It tells you exactly what are the tags that are available in your namespace. So it can help you do like things like autocomplete and all that. And then again for search. Okay, book search. What do I need? I don't need head really. All I need is a body. Okay, in the body, I'm going to create a div, and then th:\fragment is going to give me a component. All right, I'm going to call this search panel. All right, let me put an H1 here. Search. So I can use this anywhere in my HTML by just referring to that panel. All right, so I'll go to book.html. And at the very top, after the nav bar, of course, in the content, maybe above the content, I'm going to do div and then th:\insert. I'm inserting a fragment. Okay, so the fragment is in the folder components /book-search is going to give me the HTML. And what's the name of the component? It is search-panel, right? So I'm going to refer to that in here. So I'm going to do ::search-panel, all right? And then close the div. So with this, I have invoked a component, which I have defined somewhere else, all right? So let's see how that works. I refresh this. You see here, search shows up. This is from the component. I didn't have to add this everywhere. So I can kind of stick this in all of my HTMLs. And it's pretty cool, isn't it? Like I don't have to do this everywhere. I'm going to put this at the top of my search HTML as well. Again, just below the nav bar. So search shows up everywhere. And it's very important to have this in the book not found page because they probably want to search next, right? They don't find a book. Okay, so now I'm going to have to tweak this. So here in search, I'm not going to have a header, which says search. Instead, what I'm going to have is an input box, which allows people to submit a form, right? So let's see, there must be a Bootstrap thing for input. Form. Is it an input group? Okay, this thing looks promising. Input group, which is the, I need an input group and a button, right? So let's see if there's something like that available already. Or something like this would be perfect, right? So which is I think the second guy here, right? This is the second guy. Okay, copy and paste that in this div. Whatever is inside this div is what is going to be the component, right? It'll get used everywhere. All right, let's see. Let's verify this. Cool, looks good. All right, now I'm going to name this properly. Placeholder is going to be search for a title. Okay, aria label is going to be search query. Okay, and then the button is going to be search. Now this should look better. All right, now what do I want to do when the search button is clicked? Well, I want to basically submit a form. Of course, I can use JavaScript, but I quite like the form because it has, it sticks to the HTML semantics better. So I'm just going to put a form over here, right? I'm going to surround this with a form, an HTML form, and I'm going to submit this when somebody submits, right? And I'm going to say form action equals, let's say search.html. It really doesn't matter. What actually matters is the th::attr, which is what is the string MVC action that this thing is going to fire off. All right, the string MVC action, and let's say action equals, and then I think this is what it is. Let's see. I'm gonna have to Google this as well. Search not search. I'm going to search for th::attr. Yeah, here we go. This is what I need. I'm going to copy this and fix this here. And the action that I need to search for is search. All right. And then get this to close the form over here. Right, and fix the indentation here. Like this. Okay. And now refresh, search for this particular guy. Again. Well, nothing's happening because I need to make this submit, right? Because it's not submitting, right? So this button should have type equals submit. Okay. Refresh. Internal server error. Oh, because I have two types. Okay. Get rid of this. Refresh. Copy the same exact title. And query is not present. Okay. So this has to be query. Okay. Because that's the exact name that I'm looking for in my HTML. So search input, this is going to have name equals query. All right, so this is the search input. I'm going to say name equals query so that it goes as query when it hits the controller over here, right? It has to be query. All right, let's try this one more time. Copy, paste, and here you go. We've got search. All right. So now we have this component which we can use for searching everywhere. And when you click on this thing, you get to the page, which is all awesome. So now we have kind of like end-to-end search in place.